So today's just a work day. You can work on your homework assignments, you can work on your projects. Whatever you need to work on. If you have questions, I'm here to help you. It's normally Thursdays, we will be doing assessments for at least part of the day. Sometimes we'll still have lecture and stuff. But for this week, I kind of just wanted to give you the opportunity to get started on stuff. If you have any questions, just let me know.
Yeah.
Additional are like if P, then Q. You get about a truth table for that. P would be true. Then Q is true, true. False. Q is false. False. So P then Q, we're saying P then Q means if the first thing happens, then the second thing has to happen for that to be true. The first thing happens, the second thing happens, so that's true. The first thing happens, the second thing doesn't happen, that's false. The first thing doesn't happen. Well, if the first thing doesn't happen, it has nothing to do if the first, then the second happens, so that still remains a true statement. And false, false again, because it didn't happen, that remains a true statement.
So it's just in the sign.
The only time it's false is if the first thing happens and the second doesn't, it's false. In other situations, it would be true. The biconditional is, we looked at this the opposite way and looked also at what was Q then P. So Q is true, P is true, that would be true. Q is false, so it's automatically true. Q is true, P is false, P is false. False and false makes it true. So if I did P then Q and Q then P, true, true is true, false, true is true. Oh, no, excuse me, it's an and. True, true is true, false, true is false, true, false is false, and true, true is true. This is the same as the biconditional. P, if and only if Q. So in the biconditional, if P happens and Q happens, the biconditional is true. If P doesn't happen and Q doesn't happen, the biconditional is true. So for the biconditional, they have the same truth value to start with to be true. Help?
Yeah, I'm just kind of sure I'm getting lost on these. I'll look that up a little later.
So we're doing all of this. And then Q.
Yeah.
So. The P is false and Q is true. So. And P is false. And Q is true.
Yeah.
So when I make my truth table, I only need that one line. I don't need the whole truth table, right? So P is true. Q is false. I don't need the whole table because they've already established that.
Yeah.
And they're looking for P, then Q, and P. Therefore, Q. So I have to do all of this first. To build that, I'm gonna start with, I need the P and Q. P, then Q. If this is true and that's false, that would be a false statement.
He's gonna where it's and
And
it's also
And-
false.
P, then Q. And P. Because it would have to be, this would have to be true, and that would have to be true, and that's not, so it's false. So then all of this. P, then Q. And P. Therefore Q. So we're looking at this first, which is false, and comparing it to that. If this is false, this is automatically. Because this is, if we were thinking of this as just being my P. If the first thing is false,
He was true.
yeah, but P is false. Right, what do I do, P then Q? If this is false, if the first thing before the arrow is false, and I'm gonna make the full statement true. Because if I win the lottery, I'll give you $1 million. I didn't win the lottery, that's what I said a lie. Even if I give you $1 million or not. Right, it doesn't matter. So if the first, what we call the hypothesis is false, so the whole conditional statement is true. So this really breaks down to this first section just being one statement, which was false. Because it's false, so the hypothesis was false there. Yeah.
Feels kind of weird.
It does feel kind of weird, I agree with that. I'm just gonna close out the class really quick, before you get ready to like be heading out and everything. Don't forget, assignments are due by 5 o'clock on Friday. Hopefully you can have them all done by then. Most of you look like you're doing a great job with that, but if you're having a problem with that, let me know, talk to me, communicate. Don't forget the introduction video. That's the one that I see a lot of people haven't done yet. That is one that you should make sure you're doing by Friday also. Just let me know a little bit about yourself, so it'll be easier for me to get to know you. I will respond back with a video, so I'm not asking you to do anything that I'm not gonna do. Have an awesome weekend. There's some cool stuff happening around. I was kind of looking at events to tell you about. There's like a dock walk kind of thing going on in Oahu on Saturday. There's the Latin play by Missoula Children's Theaters happening this weekend in Astoria and across the river at Papa Lighthouse. They're doing Anastasia. And then there's something going on with the aquarium Saturday at Beach and Seaside that you can go out and like explore kind of stuff there. And sounds like there's a really cool kind of sensory nature walk thing going on Saturday too. So there's a lot of different events happening. Do something that's fun that you enjoy, even though it's an intense term. It's important to take some time for it all. But do math. And I'll see you all on Monday.